You better get ready for a brand new day. The Cubs are gonna win today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is another lovely Sunday as the Chicago Cubs wrapped up their weekend series against the Mariners, and we also took care of business this week against the White Sox in the Crosstown Classic. And yeah, we got a lot to talk about these two series. A lot of interesting, I would say, events happen with the pitching staff. We also got the wild card races really heating up with the Phillies. I mean, they just won 9 straight games. You got the Padres, who coming in today won 7 of their last 10, and I believe they took care of business as well. So they're heating up, and all of a sudden, this wild card race is really tight. And the Cubs gotta gain some ground because, as we'll touch on in this weekend series, I was very disappointed as they salvaged it on Sunday with a nice victory, but Fridays and Saturdays games felt like the Mariners were just handing it to them and they could not take advantage. And there was also just some lot of different stuff that we're going to get into that like could have went either way. Maybe some questionable decisions late game in the bullpen and just some blunders that happened, especially offensively, that we need to discuss. If this is your first time tuning in, before we get into all of that, my name is Sam. I'm joined by my dad, Butch. We recap the Chicago Cubs every single Sunday night after the series. Mainly Sunday night. Sometimes we'll have to do Mondays, depending on it. But yeah, we're lifetime Cubs fans. And yeah, we give our most real, unfiltered takes on what the Cubs need to do to get back to the World Series. So how I want to start this episode, like I said, I think we got to start with the Mariners series because it is fresh on our minds. Like I said, the Cubs absolutely blew them out today, 19-2. They started pouring it on in the 8th, 9th innings. And yeah, definitely what you needed it. But this series to me reminded me a lot like early in the year when it was the Rockies series when they just had 2 very disappointing losses. And then, of course, they piled on at the end to kind of like get some vibes going into the week. All in all, this was disappointing weekend for me because, I mean, we could start by looking at Friday's game, right? There was just so much like blunders that happened. You had late game, Ryan Zefferson, 10th inning. I guess we could start there. Pissed me off because when we talked about additions and Ryan Zefferson, when he first came to the Cubs and we traded for him, we were making the very probably not correct comparisons to Mason Miller. Analogy. I know it was a little overreaction to compare Zefferson to the Cubs Mason Miller. Very. And it is not panned out. I mean, the last 7 games for Zefferson, he's got 6 innings pitched, 9 ERA, 9 hits, 4 walks, only 7 strikeouts. Where on the Angels, listen to this, on the season when he was on the Angels, he allowed just 5 home runs and opponents were hitting 165 off him. Since he's joined the Cubs, guys are hitting 346 off of him and he's allowed 2 bombs. So he's just kind of panning out. I know I touched on this last podcast. He's panning out to be very good in those small market teams, but when you get to a big time franchise like the Cubs, just not as effective. Kind of seen it with Cabrera as well. And I bring up Zefferson because in this Friday's game, what are we doing on that bunt call? Wait, so if you guys didn't pay attention, the Cubs got walked off in the 10th inning. It was a tight game throughout. We can go into before I want to, like I said, I don't want to start with Zefferson here. It was the bottom of the 10th inning. You got it was a man on second base with was it no outs, 1 outs?
No outs. Yeah, you got to put a man at second in an extra inning game. So he started out with a man there.
Yeah. So yeah, there was no outs here, and the we're gonna run the wheel play because the Mariners are sack bunting. Now, so on the wheel play, Nico's gonna run to third from shortstop. Bregman's charging. Bush is charging. Mariners it was Robles. He gets the bunt down. It was a horrible bunt right back to Zefferson. Literally, all he needs to do is field the ground ball and throw it to third base, and we got the lead runner out. Zefferson doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't even know if the wheel play's on. I know this is his first, still getting adjusted to the Cubs, but this is basic baseball when you run a wheel play. Why are you not throwing the ball to third base, getting the lead runner out? Instead, he goes to first, we get the 1 out, and the Mariners walk it off on a base hit to center field. That is just an inexcusable error. That really stuck out to me.
But was it? I mean, because whose call is that? Isn't it the catcher's call? Isn't it the catcher's call to make the call? What's he's got to do?
Yeah, you can blame the catcher, I guess, for not communicating. But as a pitcher, you got to understand the situation on a wheel play.
Right, but the pitcher's got his back to third base. Kelly's got to be coming out there yelling third, third, third. That's basic baseball, right? Isn't
I
that
mean,
basic?
but we not know that he wasn't shouting third? I
Well,
feel
that's
like,
the thing. We don't know if he was or wasn't. But yes, what you're saying, you should have some intuition to know that I got to go to third. But again, you're always taught get this sure out. So the
mhm,
catcher's got to be screaming because he's got his back to third base to the infield. Let him know third, third, third. So if Kelly was, you're 100% correct on it. That was horrible. There was plenty of time he should have been able to make that a session. But even
mhm.
even even he doesn't make that play. I mean, so all right. So they got the out at first base. They got one out. He gets another ball hit slowly to him. Gets the second out. Looks him back to third. Gets the second out. But then he gives up that solid single up the middle. Game over.
Right. So yeah, I just was not impressed in Zephyr that moment. He hasn't been very good at all for the Cubs since joining the team. He's the guy that needs to fix it out because
Jeez.
in that situation, like you're not really going to go to anyone else in the bottom of the 10th. That's what we traded him for. Okay, he's just got to be
That's the
better.
point.
He's got to
Yeah,
be better
that's
because
a
some
great
people
point.
are judging why even put Zephyr in a situation. Who else do we got? He's the guy that we invested in at the trade deadline. He's the guy that we're putting in those situations. He's got to perform better, and we need to see more from him. So that really stuck out to me in the Friday's game. But as you look at the game as a whole, Matthew Boyd started on the bump. He allowed that big 3-run bomb to Cal Raleigh and to tie it up at
But you
was it
can,
the
but before
but
you get out Zephyrin, because I have to
okay.
keep going about him, it started Monday night against the Sox. Still, giving up, you thought that was an easy win. All right, they thought it was, they're up by 2 runs. He gives up that unexpected bomb. And that's when I first got like, this guy sucks. And even the look on his face after he hit the ball, he's just like, oh, shit, you got to be
Yeah.
kidding me. Because it's almost like he's not built for this moment. Kind of like what you're saying is that he played on a shitty team, the Angels. They weren't competitive by any means. And you can see that's what I saw. After he gave up that pitch, he's like, fuck, this is a whole new ball game out here. I'm not used to this. I'm used to giving these up runs, and we're still down by 4 or 5. So
Mhm,
you are correct on that part. There is something there. And then they gave him the opportunity, like you just said, against Seattle, and he completely whiffed on that one.
mhm,
So I just wanted to reiterate that he did the same thing against the Sox Monday night, and that one really pissed me off more than what happened against Seattle.
mhm. Exactly. And bottom line, as we'll get into more in this episode, is we need him because if you look at the late inning guys that we have right now, I mean, he's crucial right now. He's crucial, and we'll talk about Palencia as well later once we get
Right.
on him. But to stay on Friday's game, just an overall recap. As I mentioned, the Mariners were handing them. I mean, you look at the top of the third inning on Friday. They gifted them with 2 errors to start the inning, and then you got Ian Happ comes up, uncompetitive 3-pitch AB to strike out. We get no runs from that inning, which was horrible. In the 4th inning, the Cubs started out. They had a man on first and second, 1 out. PCA. What are we doing swinging 3? So there's 2 sides. Like he swings
Yeah.
3-0 here. And yes, it was a meatball right down the middle. Like not meatball, but 95-mile-per-hour fastball right down the middle. Yeah, PCA being one of the hottest hitters in baseball, I feel comfortable swinging at that. But if you are going to, it better be out of the park. You can't be late, mistiming a ball, flying out to left field. Absolute killed them there. And you can't be late on that. And then Suzuki comes up, uncompetitive strikeout looking with a man on first and second, 1 out. That was a complete waste of an opportunity. You let Emerson Hancock, who 3 times in his outing today, his outing on Friday, got bailed out from the Cubs just not taking advantage because then in the 5th inning, you had a leadoff double by Michael Busch. Bregman comes up, PKs, Hap Ks, Nico pop up, and just bailed out again. So the Cubs just could not take advantage in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th innings on Friday when the Mariners were just basically handing it to them.
Even the first, too. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he went up 3-0, but they still had men on. You thought after they're up 3 because they hit 2 homers, PCA leads off the game. Yeah, you thought they were going to be up by 10 runs. I thought this was going to be a blowout victory the way the game was going. But
Mm-hmm.
I thought in that game, what really hurt the game was Boyd. And it will go back to the pitching when we go in there. You
Yeah.
get the first 4 batters, he looks sharp. And then all of a sudden, it's like, what the hell happened to him? I wrote it down what he did. So he gets the first one. He starts out the inning, gets the ball out. Then a base hit, a soft single. So he got a man on first, a 4-pitch walk. And those pitches weren't even close. They're not competitive. That's the part that I just frustrates me big time. You've
Mhm.
got to be more competitive in that. It gives a 4-pitch walk, and then what happens? Gives up the 3-run homer. I mean, and then at that point, you're like, what the fuck? I mean,
Well,
here we go.
here's the thing that in that inning when he gave up the home run to Cal Raleigh, and I want to know your take is on this. You're kind of seeing Dansby Swanson injury help the effects of it because that base hit to lead off the
Oh,
inning up the middle. You can't tell me that Nico Horner isn't making that play at second base. Pedro missed it
yes.
on a dive, but if Nico's at second right there, he probably makes that play and we get it first out. And maybe, or no, that would have been the third out because they started with 2 outs that inning, right? Because was that
That,
a 2-out rally or that
that
rally
was
hit?
it.
Or I
No,
forget.
no, no. There was only one out because
Okay,
there
okay.
was the second he one out. But you're 100, and it goes back to my thing that I said last time is that it's not so much that we lose Dansby at short, we lose Horner at second. Pedro is slow on the turns. There was many times on the turn, even on Saturday's game, he just looks slow. He doesn't have the arm.
Right.
I don't know. So maybe it's because we're used to having Nico at second and Dansby at short. We've seen the top of the line. You don't get any better than that duo.
Mhm.
So now when you see Ramirez, that really hurts. Ramirez at second is really hurting the Cubs defense going
Mhm.
forward.
Yeah, and I guess we can get on that topic right now, or should we finish the? So I
No,
wanted.
it's all part of it. Yeah.
Okay,
I,
so Matt Shaw, he was making his rehab assignment. He started at he bat second. He was actually started at shortstop for the Iowa Cubs on Saturday. He got 2 hits, so he should be back for the Cubs hopefully by the end of this week. I thought I saw.
they
After
said at the end of this weekend, but I thought, was he at short? Because I thought they were keeping him at second. They have him
So
playing
here's
second
that's what I was
base.
about to ask you. So I was interested to see that he was playing at shortstop, and it made me think: is there a possibility that they put Nico at second and they're
No,
training Shaw to play short?
no, because I'm reading it again too to make sure. He went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs, played second base
Did
in
he?
the
Okay,
minor
then
league rehab
I'm
on August 21st. Yes,
okay.
at
Okay.
AAA. So, and the council says he will play multiple games this week. They want to see how he goes back to back.
Mhm.
So we're looking for him when they come home to Chicago against Cincinnati to be back.
So
So
with
hopefully,
Matt Shaw, do you when he comes back, are you where you're putting him at second base, or are you putting him at left field or
no, second
DH
base.
role? Okay.
No, second base. You got to throw him into the fire right now because if there is a weakness with Ramirez, which I really think, if we see it, if I see the weakness with Ramirez at second, the staff does, but their hands are tied. Who else are they going to put there? They just sent that other guy back down yesterday.
Mhm.
So they're going to be like, hey, we got to get Shaw in there, see how we can handle a good week. It goes back to my whole thing. When you bring a guy up, you got to give him a week.
Mhm.
See how he does in multiple games.
Yeah.
So let's give Shaw in case Dansby's injury does get prolonged.
Now, what are you
So
doing if Council brings up Shaw and he basically just puts him in the Swiss Army knife role again, just giving him some DH spots, moving all over, and
uh,
he's not that everyday second baseman, and they're still shifting with Pedro.
well,
What do you
the
do?
only reason that they would do that if they see a weakness in Shaw or he has something or they're being tentative with him. That's the honest truth. If they're going to be tentative with him, yeah, I can see him doing that. Council is that type of manager, but if he comes up and he's ready to go, he's been on the IL for a long time, what, 60 days?
Yeah, yeah.
So that wrist, that hand that should be healed, you got to throw him in the fire because we
Mhm.
need him. We need better defense at second base going forward.
Mhm.
We do need a better play there.
And here's the thing too. So last podcast, if you guys were tuning in, I brought up the idea is would the Cubs ever think of moving Alex Bregman up the middle? And originally you kind of gave me some shit for that. Maybe
I
we would
did.
have gotten some backlash. But then you think about it, Bregman has played shortstop at the highest level. He's made some starts at shortstop for the Astros back in the day. So he's got experience there. Would you rather, let's say, God forbid, something happened to Nico Horner? Is Bregman your next shortstop or is Matt
Well,
Shaw?
that's just a hypothetical. We don't want to go down that
No, no,
rabbit
no.
hole.
I'm just curious
Yeah, I mean,
for our talk here right now.
for there, I mean, there's too many pieces to the puzzle. Is Shaw ready? Can Shaw field? I mean, Shaw hasn't played, in what, 2 months?
Mhm.
Oh God, if that happens, their season's done. There's no doubt. If Nico goes down, their season's done. It's funny, they were bragging about Bregman because he had on Wednesday's game against the Sox.
Mhm.
Would he have 9 infield? 7 out of the first 9 outs were infield plays by Bregman.
Mhm.
And I was in the car coming home, and they're on the radio like, this guy just doesn't make a bad throw. He's on target. I mean, he's just fire, fire. I come in the house, very next play, he overthrows that ball to Bush, and Bush almost stumbles and almost twisted his ankle.
Mhm.
Made the play, made the out, and then I think he had an error today or yesterday.
You talking about
So
you talking about Nico or Bregman?
Bregman,
Okay.
Bregman, Bregman. I'm back to Bregman. So having Bregman at third, he's pretty solid. I don't know. He's
No,
playing
I
on
got
his
I'll,
ass.
I'll give Bregman, like, there was a play he made on Saturday, that a ball down the line that you watch him and it's like he is
Oh,
really smooth at
well, he
third
had
base.
Cal running, which they did
Still,
say. He goes, I know you got Cal, and he must have knew that. That's why he knew he can still make that throw.
mhm.
That was a
It was a good
sweet
pick
play.
by Bush too. I mean, to get
That
that
was
like
a
in
good
between your
pick.
hop.
Yeah, that was a
Um,
sweet play. No, you got to keep Bregman. You know me, I was big on Kevin Shaw. Let's just get off that topic in the sense
yeah.
they they signed Bregman, so get over Shaw not playing third. All right, so I am.
Mhm.
So keep Bregman at third. We just got to hope Shaw come up and play. He can
100%.
play some infield right now.
Yeah,
They
so
got
that
enough outfielders. The Cubs got enough outfielders to mix
yeah.
around with DH and right now. Alcantara's back.
Mhm.
Um, Tyrone's back, or he's on the team. So they got enough.
Mhm.
They need infielders. They need Shaw to come in the infield and play.
Mhm. Yeah, so with that, I think our next topic is going to play off the Saturday's game versus the Mariners, which was another loss there. Another game that the Cubs could have easily won, just kind of blew it at the end. It was the Randy Arozarena game. And as well, you got to tip your cap to him. I mean, this guy came to play. 2 home runs, the leadoff home run, and then the walk-off home run at the very end. He also robbed a bomb. Unreal. Probably one of the single best performances of a game we will see this year by a player. And even with this, so when you look at the game from a whole, David Peterson made the start. He went 6 innings, 4 hits, 8 strikeouts, 2 and run. He was very solid. I even look at, there was an instance in the 5th inning. He had bases loaded, and the Cubs didn't turn the double play there when he had a double play ball, but he gets 2 big strikeouts against the 3-4s. It was Julio Rodriguez and Bo Naylor. Like, gets 2 big Ks, and he's pumped up. That was probably like the most fired up I've seen him in the Cubs. Like, it was awesome to see. And this was a game where the Mariners made Cade Anderson made his debut. He was the 3rd overall pick, and he looked pretty solid. I mean, the Cubs first 2 times around, he's pretty dominant, I would say. Just not a lot of hits were falling there. However, the 5th inning, though, you look at an instance, the 5th and 6th inning. So we'll start with the 5th. Yeah, Tyrone Taylor, he walks. Pedro gets a base hit to get. So it was man on 1st and 3rd. Kevin Alcantara comes up with a sac fly. And then a Miguel Amaya in the 9 hole with a man on first base. It's like after the sac fly from Alcantara. First pitch, hanging slider right down the middle, and he just rolls over double play ball to end the inning. Shit like that shouldn't get overlooked. It's like, what a weak at bat, especially when you're trying to get a pitch count up in a sense when he's getting on the ropes. That was just something that I picked up in the offense. I didn't like that. And also the very next inning, we got to talk about PCA, which is why was he swinging at 3-0 that in Friday's game? He comes back and makes another just blunder on the base running when he gets the leadoff double. Seiya comes up next. He gets a ground ball to third base. And PCA, who's at second, is hesitating. It's almost like, so a third baseman throws over to first, and he's about to take off. I feel like if he did take off, he had a shot at making it.
I thought he
But
had it too.
Yeah, for some reason, he just he puts his foot in his ground, tries to go back to second, and doesn't get back in time. Not a good, because right after that, Bregman hits a home run and Bush hits a home run. They go back to back. Now, obviously, baseball, maybe they don't hit a home run there, but that could have been a 2-run bomb, and that could have been the key to the game if PCA doesn't get picked off there. Would you?
Well, yeah, but I look at it this way. I mean, yeah, as good as PCA is and has been, at that instant, I'm not going to harp on him for making that blunder. When you saw the first play, I thought he was going to third. And then when you saw the first baseman fire back to second, I'm like, wait, he went back to second? Why? There, he just had a brain freeze, maybe. Maybe something happened and he did. And I get it. It was funny. Your brother texted me. They were watching it, and he's like, "I think PCA got hurt because he ran right into the dugout,
Mhm.
in the locker room." And I don't know. Maybe something happened there, but he came back out, and he was fine. But then you got to give Bregman credit for picking up the player. So
100%.
you got to give that credit that they picked him up. Actually, was it that inning? Because then they hit, yeah, because that's when Bush hits a homer, then Taylor hits Nico hits a double, and Taylor hits a double. So they had three doubles and two homers in that inning, but PCA didn't score. So I don't get on PCA in that at any
Yeah.
means.
And you got to give Bregman credit there as well. And we could touch on him. Mr. August is what we've been calling Alex Bregman, because even in Friday's game, which I didn't mention, he was the guy that tied it up late game. And he hit a
Two
huge
homers.
home run off one of the best closers in baseball to force extras
Yes.
there. So,
Yeah.
like, that was huge from him. He's been turning it up in August. And we're finally seeing the guy that we paid all this money to come be the superstar in Chicago. Because, I mean, he was the big splash free agent signing. Nobody expected PCA to really have the season he's been having. Alex Bregman was the guy that we thought was going to be the face of this team. And
Right.
right now, PCA, yeah, obviously it's PCA's, he's the engine right now. But you're seeing Bregman step up as like the clutch hitter in the middle of the order that's going to show up when we really need to him. And he's heating up at the right time. So,
Yeah, he's been doing it for the last 3 weeks. You got to give him props for doing that. I'll go back to another point too with what's his name. He stole the thunder from PCA because we didn't touch base on the Sox series. We saved that for last.
yeah.
But PCA started the Sox series out. First pitch hits a homer, extra innings, last pitch, hits the homer. And they were just going, oh, wow, it's what, fifth time and that's ever been done, blah, blah. And we were all pumped up, big fans, big fans. But then here, this happens to only the Cubs it can happen to. It happens
Mhm.
to the Cubs on Saturday night. Same
Yeah.
thing, but in reverse.
Yeah.
So only the Cubs it can happen to. It, to me, kind of stole a little bit of what PCA did this week, the Thunder, because that loss is really heartbreaking. When you're on the other end, it is heartbreaking. So
Mhm.
imagine Sox fans how heartbreaking it was. Well, I mean, you're used to losing, so
Yeah. Well, the thing with Randy Arozarena and that walk-off home run, and what makes it even more like amazing to me, is that it wasn't a bad pitch. Like, so Jacob Webb, which
no.
I want to ask your take on, because I see a lot of Cubs fans in that situation. They were wondering why you put Webb in there back-to-back days. I mean, he did get the first two outs pretty comfortably, and then they just started. I mean, one of the hits was a weak hit, I would
It was a
say,
weak
and
hit. But you
um,
felt it. After those two
yeah.
outs, I swear to God, I felt something bad was going to happen. That's how sick I am as a Cub baseball fan. I
Mhm,
felt that he gets a hit. I'm like, oh God, he's going to hit a home run here and they're going to lose it. I just felt that was going to happen. That's the problem of being a Cub fan. You always
mhm.
think like that. But where was Palencia?
Well, I that was the question, because he pitched Friday. I understand coming off the IL, maybe you don't want to go back to back days with him to start, because he looks pretty good on Friday. So I guess
That,
I like that. Jacob Webb has been your
uh,
closer. He's been your guy. So in that situation, I don't mind it. I wouldn't put it on, because, like I said, it wasn't even a bad pitch versus Rosarena. It was just a better hit. So
No, I
I don't think
know.
it's
You can't. He
as
can't
bad
get
as
mad
this.
at Webb. He has been the guy. He's been considered the closer. And if I look back to it, yeah, it was true that Palencia pitched the seventh inning. So they're not even projecting Palencia right off the bat to be the closer at this point. Put him in the ninth. I guess if there was a situation today and they need him in the eighth or the ninth, he would have been the man. There's no doubt. So
Mhm.
yeah, you can't. I can't. I can't get upset on it. You just get upset as a Cub fan because you knew that situation could definitely happen to the Cubs, and it was just
Now,
heartbreaking. That was a victory I thought they had.
yeah, and now with what you've seen the last couple of weeks with the Cubs, and now Palencia making his way back, you've been pretty vocal on this podcast that you're not a fan of Palencia in the closer role.
Right,
You feel like you can't really trust him. Given what we've
right.
seen from Zephyr John in that acquisition, and Joe Webb, has your mind changed in any way? Do you still think that you would give Palencia another shot at it? Do you feel comfortable with
Well,
him?
I think you have to, if the way that they used them Friday is a sign what they're going to do for the next 4 or 5 weeks. I'm okay with. Let's see him earn the closer role. Right now, Webb does deserve that shot. He is your closer at this point. I believe he is. Zephyron, here's the whole thing with the pitching, because now we'll go into the whole thing with the pitching.
Hmm.
Cubs got a lot of questions these next 5 weeks, because what we saw against Seattle, that could easily be a first round 3-game series in Philadelphia. Let's just say that. Let's be honest here.
Hmm.
On the road, it's tough to win 2 out of 3. It's tough to win. When you get quality starting pitching and you can't follow it up with hits like on Wednesday, Clay Holmes pitched a masterful piece, 6.1 innings, gave up 1 run, and they lose. I mean, because why? The Cubs had 2 hits in that game, and it was by the same player, Tyrone Taylor.
Hmm.
So when you have Clay Holmes, who I believe is going to be your number one guy, I'm just going now as a future how to think this out. Clay
Yeah.
Holmes to me is going to be number one. Cubs have an issue. Who's going to be their number two guy? They thought Boyd, who I was not a fan of. Look what happened yesterday. Gives up that homer in the second, third. He's going to do that in the playoffs. You got Shota. He could get the Shota we had today. Couldn't get out of the third inning. He didn't pitch bad, but you can see he was struggling in pitching. When he pitched against the White Sox on Monday, he didn't pitch bad. He still gave up 3 runs, still gave up a homer.
Hmm.
So you're going to trust a Shota in that number 3 spot, or you're going to go with a guy like Peterson, who pitched his ass off yesterday. Those fifth and sixth innings showed me that that's the kind of guy that the Cubs are going to have to count on in the playoffs. That's the kind of guy that they're going to need as your number 2 starting pitcher, is how I feel.
Hmm.
Gosman, to me, is a number 3 starter if needed, or Boyd. To me, the number 3 starter is going to have to be a toss up. But as of Wednesday, Peterson was a reliever. They just put him in this role because then they sent Assad down. So I don't know what they're seeing and what's the problem with Peterson, but I think Peterson showed this weekend on the road, hey, I'm here as your number 2 man. Someone else got to step up. Boyd, no. We went through with Boyd last year. We went through with Shota last year. They didn't work. Why would we even think of doing it again when we got new starting pitchers here? What's your
Hmm.
thing?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Shota today's outing, just didn't have it, and
It was
I mean,
brutal.
yeah, it wasn't so that it's tough to go away from Shota because I feel like there was a lot of points this year, even make it last month, maybe it was June or May, where we were giving him a lot of credit because he had a really good stretch. But you got to go based on what you're seeing now. What have you been doing for me recently? And
Right.
recently, it's going to be hard to trust Shota, especially in a 3-game series. I think at this point, if you had to play tomorrow, I think you still got to ride with him.
At
That's
your
why,
2 or 3?
like a 3, I would say like a 3. I think you have
Who would
luckily we
be?
have
Okay, so
another
who would
month.
be? Yeah, who would right now, after playing the Seattle Mariners this weekend, you got a taste of what a first wild card playoff round would be on the road. It would kind of be like Seattle, because Seattle's in the running now. So after playing that, who would be your top 3 starting pitchers
I mean, I
on the
honestly
road?
think it comes down to Boyd or Peterson
Comes down to either two, for
because
what?
I think Clay
Who's
Holmes.
your okay? Who's one?
I
Clay.
think Clay Holmes,
Okay.
and then 2 is right now would probably be Boyd. I'm
Really?
not saying that. I mean, who would you say? I mean, maybe
Peterson.
Gosman. Like, if he's healthy, I don't know.
Peterson all day long. And then game 3, depending on what happens, if needed, if game 3, obviously it's a 1-1 series, then it's real simple. It's an opener, as they like to call it now, which I think the stupidest thing in the world.
Mhm.
But the new playoff regime is having multiple pitchers that can go, 1 round in the order. So who do you give to
Who's
start to? Do you give it to Shota?
what's the latest on Kevin Gosman? Because I know he's dealing with he had like a
Well, he had
hand
that
injury or
cramp,
something.
that hand
It was
cramp,
a
but it was
cramp,
a
so he's
non-throwing
fine.
cramp. He's had it before. Yeah, they said
Okay.
he's had that before happen. Not as extensive. To me, that's just a fluid thing, keeping your fluids. Um, so I
I
mean,
still think
Gosman,
I still
I
think you
like
put
him as a
Boyd.
starter. I just Boyd. I
You could
like
order Holmes, Boyd, Gosman. You could. They're not
no.
gonna start Peterson. They're not gonna start Peterson.
Why? Why would you not start Peterson? I just don't get that.
I just feel like he was a fringe guy. I mean, he was the guy that they just moved to the bullpen for Cabrera. So
He's
he's
had
clearly not
one
on.
bad outing. I mean, the other
I'm
outing
just
before
thinking
that, he
about I'm
had.
just thinking about it from what I think Council's going through his Council's mind right now. Not saying I
So
agree with
okay,
it.
okay. Well, so your counsel, you went through Matt Boyd last year in the playoffs, and how did that work for you? You went with Matt Boyd and you went with Shota. How did that work with you last year? Now you do have which is going to be good what they do with him, but Brown, as I always said, is expected to be back. They're thinking the Cincinnati series at home or the following week. He's going to Arizona
Mm-hmm.
this week. Then he's going to fly back and meet up in Cincinnati or in Chicago against the Cincinnati. So if not that series, the series after, he'll be ready. Now, will they stretch him out
I don't
as
think
a
he's going to be in
possible
a starter
starter?
role though.
Well, that's what they said on the radio today. It's interesting.
Did
They have
they?
enough time that could stretch them out because they had a good point. JD said today, he goes, and I agree with that. How cool would it be? Because Ben Brown was our ace,
I
at
mean,
that
if
point.
he's
Once Cade
back
went
like
down,
that, yeah, then it's like okay,
you have him start game one in the playoffs.
okay, but then who would be your three? I mean, you would want a
But
lefty.
you don't have to worry about that because you have Ben Brown starting.
Okay,
So now you have a Shota, you've got a Gosman, you've got a Matt Boyd if you had to, or even a Peterson who could follow Ben Brown in that game if he can only go 1, 2, or 3 innings.
okay.
That's right up Council's alley.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're like that. I would like to see him start if he has the gas, if he's got that breaking pitch and he's starting to pitch. That's going to be pretty interesting. So he's in the mix now.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be key. What they do.
Yeah, I mean, and we also got our guy Justin Steele coming back, who could be working on his
No,
batting line for
I
late September return.
no.
Not for a starter
Yeah,
role,
but
I'm saying, but
someone else even said that I read that this whole thing about Justin Steele coming back this year, we have to get off that. And I agree. We haven't seen him pitch at all. At least with Brown, we saw him pitch this year.
yeah,
I mean, how good is Justin Steele? We got Justin Steele's right now on the team. We got Gausman. We got all these other
I
guys
mean,
that
yeah,
are
because who
like
are you
him.
really going to send down for him?
Yeah, I know. I mean, you got Assad. I mean, that's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
What happens to Assad? I get they get to play with that going up and down where they don't have to worry about it affecting, their salaries or whatever, how that works.
Mm-hmm.
But, Assad is the odd man out there too. We've got some pitching, but they're going to have to figure out in the next couple weeks. Peterson's going to get another start this week. I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
If he has a good outing, one more good outing, you cannot take him out of the starting rotation.
Yeah,
I'm
and here's the
sorry.
thing. I think we can talk about it. It's fun that when me and you talk about it, but at the end of the day, like this is what we're paying counsel to do to decide a huge situation. When you got a bunch of pitchers, maybe none of them is really like taking the lead, I would say, and who's going to be that starter, but you got a lot of options. This is what you're getting paid the big bucks for, to figure out who is going to be and make the decision on who's going to be starting. And
Well,
it's
this
kind
is
of falling on him in a sense.
yeah, and this is what he wanted. He said he didn't have this in the playoffs. He didn't have where he can go and use 2 or 3 starters in a game. That knowing that I can only get 2 innings. They just had a Cole on Marquis the other day said the same thing about Cabrera. We didn't count on touch base on him. Is that he's
Mm-hmm.
going to probably have to get in a mindset going forward, which I've said before they brought him back,
Mm-hmm.
is hey, look, we need you to give me one good outing. One good inning. What do you got? Give us your best. If you make it to stretch of the two, that's fine. He's going to have to be used in that role. So again, you have Ben Brown starting the game. He maybe goes 3 innings.
Mm-hmm.
You can bring in a Cabrera. Says you got 1 inning in you. Got two. Go give it to me, dog. Let's see what you got.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Because then his blisters are going to happen anyway. So then we can't count on him.
Yeah. So with that, when we talk about wild card series, and it's interesting because the race is really starting to heat up. What team, assuming that the Cubs, actually, let's not assume anything with the Cubs position. What
You
team
can't.
would you want to face, and which team would you not want to face out of the Braves, Phillies, and Padres in a wild card round? Like, what would
You
be like the
know,
team that you would really want? Like, you'd feel comfortable they get it done, or like you'd be kind of scared of out of those
to be
guys?
honest with you, all three of those teams, if they're playing on the road, because all 3 games are on the road. If the Cubs, can have the number 1 seed where they can host a wild card round in Wrigley, the Cubs will win that series. No doubt about it.
Mhm.
I have no issue with that. So none of those teams scare me. It's the Cubs getting the home first round.
Yeah.
That's what scares me. Because as I've said, and I keep preaching, the Brewers are the only team that scare me, and I guarantee that have sleepless nights for counsel. It's the Brewers.
Mhm.
There's so much riding on the Brewers around beating the Brewers, not only because he coached them, couldn't win with them either,
Mhm.
left to come to Chicago to become a winner in Chicago. And who's the team they still need to get by? The Brewers.
Mhm.
That's his hometown. He's got a statue out there. He's
So
got
I
to
guess
figure
it's
a way.
like, I mean, I'm just thinking about too. It's going to be interesting how this all shapes out because the Brewers right now have the number 1 seed, and if that's the
Right.
case, and if things play out with the Cubs having the top wildcard spot, we wouldn't face the Brewers until the National League Championship Series, so you would avoid them in the divisional round. And yeah, I kind of would feel more comfortable. Actually, I don't know. Like it's tough. Like, would you rather face the Dodgers or the Brewers? Like, who do you feel more comfortable there? That's also like
I don't
up
care.
for debate. Yeah. I mean, I
I
guess.
just worry. Let's just get the plain and simple truth. I think, as every Cub fan knows, Cubs have to host that first round at Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
They got to host that first round. So we can't lose sight of winning the wild card number 1
Hmm.
seed. They have
Hmm.
to just stay focused. Winning today was a huge victory because if they didn't get today's win, that would have been 4 losses in a row. That's not good.
Yeah.
They came off,
Especially.
we didn't touch, they came off an emotional 2-game high with the White Sox.
Right.
That was unreal. That was great. You saw, to me, what I considered a playoff atmosphere in a sense. That's what I was saying to like a lot of the Sox fans, is that
Hmm.
this is as close to a playoff atmosphere as you're going to get. Now, of course, they were pushing back. Well, the Sox are going to be number 2 seed, are going to be hosting. It doesn't matter. You're still going to have to go on the road then in that series. It's not like a wild card round where you play all 3 in the home, field,
Hmm.
whoever is hosting.
Hmm.
So, I look at like the Sox, I'll touch base real quick on that. That game, the first game, their defense is horrible. That was why we had that walk off to win it. But the Cubs should have, again, it goes back to their offense. They should have put them away. They should not have even been in a position against that team with that weak of a defense, fighting to stay alive. They could have, at one point, when the Fetty came into pitch, I don't know if that was the second game, but he was up to 37 pitches in the second inning. They had bases loaded. There was 2 outs of Cubs. They just couldn't get that hit. He gets that hit. Freddie's out of the game. But what happens? He settled down for another 3 innings.
Hmm.
All right. Actually, I'm sorry, another 4 innings. He pitched outstanding baseball.
Hmm.
That's the part that I got to worry about with the Cubs. You got to be able to put these teams away, which you touched base on with Seattle on Friday and Saturday. They didn't do it. So that is a factor going into the playoffs. That's going to be key. They had the same thing that happened to them. Now you look at Wednesday's game. Was it Cueto or who was the guy? He was at AAA. Came up because the Sox were like, we don't have a pitcher. We don't have a pitcher. That
Hmm.
guy looks like an all-star. I mean, he made the Cubs players look silly. I don't know if it's because the Cubs were so high off of those 2 victories or what it was, but you just can't have that, as a Cub team.
Hmm.
And then to go and follow up with what happened in Seattle, yeah, man, that's just bad.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Like I said, and especially like Seattle's games were just so disappointing to me. It was because you had them right there. Like you just had it right there. They were giving it to you. They were handing it to you. And yeah, it's tough, especially
Yeah,
when the Brewers. I mean, they're on a little hot streak because we talk about it too. I mean,
they
the
can't
division.
lose.
I know. Well,
They
they're
can't
losing right
lose.
now. They're down 2-1 versus the Braves, and if that is the case, that holds up. So you're looking at the Cubs will be 5.5 games back. You look at the Cubs' schedule this week. They're in Arizona. And Arizona we talked about before. They were like the fringe
Yeah.
playoff team. They're fighting for a wildcard spot, but they've had a lot of,
They've had mental
yeah,
breakdowns, as you well know.
yeah. I mean, the whole
With
Cattell Marte
Marte.
situation is just like insane. I'm assuming all the listeners know about that, where it's like He went to travel to Boston, and then he didn't show up for the game. Didn't tell anyone about it. The manager, Torey Loretto, was kind of getting emotional, but like he wouldn't also give any details. Next thing you know, Ketel Marte's flying back to Arizona for an MRI on his knee. So apparently it was something health related. And then there's like a whole meeting going on between the clubhouse. The Diamondbacks president even came out and says that he has no idea what's going on with Marte. And then even with the knee, and he's supposed to be on the IL. Like the D-backs played another game, and you saw Marte was spotted at Talking Stick, the casino. So that is from a clubhouse aspect is just horrible for the team, in my opinion. And they also got some pitching staff concerns. So these are 3 games right now that I think the Cubs could win the series. I won't say sweep because sweeping's obviously tough, but you got to win that series. And then you host the Reds, you got to win that series as well. So this is a week where they can gain some ground because you look at the Brewers got the Mets and the Brewers got who do the Brewers got as well? They got the Mets and the Rangers this week. So those are 2 decently tough teams. I don't know how the Mets have been playing recently.
Well, they just played the Sox and lost 2 out of 3 because the Sox came up with this long ball. But
yeah,
Texas has been playing good ball because they're fighting. They're right in it for a playoff spot, and they go and play the Sox this week.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona's the type of team where, like you say, they should win 2 out of 3. That's usually the type of scenario where the Cubs end up losing 2 out of 3. They were coming off a 9 series winning streak. The Cubs were.
Mm-hmm.
They would won 9 in a row up until Seattle. So they were due for a series loss on the road.
Yeah.
So let's hope they pick it back up against Arizona because that's going to be key. What is it with that Marte thing? I mean, this has happened. I saw. Was
He
it
just
Lovello?
hates Arizona or for some reason.
I said
I don't
Arizona.
know.
Does he hate baseball?
Like it could be both. Like so, you look at some of the conversations between the teammates and how they talk about Marte. Everyone always like praises his work ethic. They praise him as a teammate. All that. I've heard some reasons that he's upset with how the organization has been handling his knee injury or something. I also think back to the beginning of the year. It felt like the Diamondbacks were pushing him out as sort of trade bait, so maybe he didn't feel wanted. But bottom line is, it's like he showed up. He didn't show up to the Red Sox game and didn't tell anybody about it. You can't
And
do
he was
that.
gambling that night. There's pictures of him at out partying that night too.
Yeah, and he was spotted at a hotel bar. Maybe he was seen at gambling or at a casino or something. So it's like, how do you not? How like in today's age, how hard is it to send a text to somebody and say, "Hey, I'm not," like, even if it's something little, to just totally ghost someone, and then you got everyone freaking out, like, "Yo, is something like personal? Did something happen to him? God forbid!" Like, but no, he just nobody knows what he was actually doing. I don't know if he was chilling in his hotel room or what. It's just such a weird situation.
And that's the part that I get upset with the coaches and that too when they give this. You see, we don't know if it's phony bullshit that they're saying. You want to feel sorry for a human being that if he's going through some shit, you get that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, fine. Then you got to be honest with people. You got to say, you know what? Look, he's going through some shit. Because if he's not, what he's doing, what they see, what you see, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
All right, quit whining like a little bitch. You're being paid to play a kid game, all right? Go collect your check at least. Go show up for your teammates. Be a teammate. Be a good person and honor your contract, honor your commitment, be an honorable man.
Well, here's the thing too. I don't know if you saw when Marte was spotted at the casino that night, and I don't know if you saw the manager Torey Loretto's response when he was like, I mean, the medical team cleared him and he's on the IL, so after that he's free to do whatever he wants. That's like,
a week.
You guys were playing a game as a guy in the IL. Shouldn't you be it's not like you're not allowed to go to the game and cheer on your team. Like
be in the dugout like everyone else is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
especially the D-backs, how they are literally fighting for a wild card spot. They are right in this playoff mix, and he's just abandoning his team.
And that's the part. Yeah, that's the part that I just get so frustrated because you want to have sympathy for a person, but then again, you don't because I feel I'm being lied to. I mean, there's no way that's the truth. And you can tell by his response. There's no way that's the truth what went on. I think it's bullshit. I think it's bullshit for the sport. It's bullshit for people to, kids to see this. And because, everyone looks at social media, they see the same pictures we did, a picture of him.
Yeah.
looking with the big eyes at the casino,
Yeah.
while the game's going on.
Yeah.
Be an honorable man is what I say. You have
Yeah.
you don't like it, then get out of your contract and then demand to be traded. I'd have more respect for you to say, I'm holding out. If you got a knee injury, come out and say, look, I'm hurt. I can't play.
Yeah. See, I'm also
So,
surprised that I'm surprised you didn't adjust your flight so you can go out to the Cubs game and with your guys
well,
out
yeah, I
there.
was just saying that tonight. Well, yeah, Joey's going. He's going to go to the game tomorrow. Yeah,
Hmm.
I didn't realize it until last week that they were in town.
Yeah.
So I get there Thursday, so I won't be able to see it
Oh, yeah, sure.
any
I mean,
game. So,
who's on the mound?
uh,
So who the Cubs got on the mound to start it? Is it Clay?
no, not Clay. I was
It's
just
Gosman.
looking at
Yeah.
that. So it is Gosman. Yeah,
Yeah, they got Gosman. I mean, yeah, we got Gosman, Clay Holmes, and then on Wednesday it's going to be Matthew Boyd. So hey, that could be our three-man rotation right there: Gosman, Holmes, and Boyd versus the D-backs in the playoff.
Gosman. Uh, Gosman's a number 3 starter or 4 starter. I'm sorry,
Hmm.
he hasn't shown. Maybe in the playoffs, because he's been there. I'd rather count on him for a game 3 or game 4 start because he's been there before. But unless he pitches lights out going forward, which I don't see that happening, yeah, you can't give him a spot. You can't give him a shot over Holmes. And I'm sorry, you can't give him a shot over Peterson. Now Peterson's gonna fool me or blow it up for me when he gives up 10 runs in the next outing. Then you're
Yeah,
gonna say, see, I told you.
yeah, I'm
But
sure
at
that'd be
home
very
at
fair.
Wrigley, that's the thing. I'm already focusing that the Cubs will have a home series, 3 games. What better pitchers do you want? You want ground ball pitchers. So
True.
you got to start Peterson at home. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's very
if he
true.
gives up a home run, I mean, then it's a fluke. Then it's just Cubs bullshit. They lose.
Mhm.
Oh well.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add? I feel like we touched on a good amount here. If there's any other
No,
topics
I
you
mean
wanted to
that
get to.
pretty much. I think I covered my pitching. It's going to be interesting this next week. I didn't really touch a lot on my poor guy Assad, who I was a big fan of last year, and they did this too. But see, that's the thing. You have a guy like Ben Brown comes back and pitches, starts a game, maybe lasts, one round. He's on his second go through, second, third inning, let's say. Well, better person to put in there is Assad because he's
Yeah.
proved he can do it. You know, that's the thing is if these guys have proven they can handle it, you got to give them the shot. Look what he did against the Sox too, and it was pretty exciting when he got pulled. He didn't realize that he was getting that standing ovation, and he's
Yeah.
just getting the pump crowded even more. That's what we need. We need that type of a player, that can go out there and bust their ass like that. So,
To wrap things up here, what was your takeaway from the Bears preseason game with the starters?
you
Anything
know,
there? You watched that one?
I had it on, and I really did. I mean, come on. Some people were critiquing the stats of Caleb
Yeah.
Williams. So what was he? Two
I
out of
saw you
five.
sent a picture. I didn't know if you watched the whole thing. That's why I was like, okay.
No, I didn't. Oh, I had it on because I had the Cubs on the big screen. But come on, you're gonna talk bad about the Bears and the 2-5. Now, who's that guy? Vandenberg. I can't. He's the big lineman, defensive lineman. I think he was from Georgia Tech. Vandenberg or whatever. He's a rookie,
Uh,
number 96 on the Bears. They were praising him big time during the game. He looked pretty good. He looked like he's going to play. Then I turned on the radio today. I was in the car and they were talking about that this guy is going to make the Bears and he's going to be something. They may
mhm.
have found someone right there. Do you know
Yeah,
his name?
I am completely unfamiliar with this guy, Jordan Van Jordan Vandenberg. Yeah,
Jordan Vandenberg. That was the talk of the game, is what I heard. And even in today, he's the talk of the town right now. That
interesting.
they cut the Bears may have found some because they're struggling at who's going to be defensive lineman.
I love that Bears may have found something when you're starting defensive tackle, when you're relying on Jordan Vandenberg as your starting defensive
Why,
tackle, you got
why
problems.
not?
You got problems.
Hey, I'm
So
just
so miss so
saying,
miss me with all that. You're relying on a 6th round pick here, starting at
why
defensive
not?
tackle
Well,
as a
because
rookie.
they made a good point because like they were ripping. Now I'm going to get into Bear stock. And I've been ripping about Kevin Warren ever since he came. I believe truly he was a DEI hire. I'm sorry, he was a DEI hire. You can see how he's handling this whole thing about the Bears moving to Hammond, and he thinks he's outsmarting Illinois, Congress people, and that he's not outsmarting himself. All right,
Mhm.
he's just an idiot. And then what you're saying is, why does he value first round draft picks so much? You look at the Rams. They brought up an interesting point about the Rams and how many first round picks that they've really used. Well, they'll tell you how they've used them. They've gotten now their defensive lineman stud by trading.
They haven't had a first, like, I think Ty Simpson was the first one since like
Exactly. Ty Simpson
2017.
in like
Yeah.
9 years. Their
Mhm.
other first round draft pick is now playing. Who did they trade him to? I can't say his name. He's the one they traded for the lineman they got now, the defensive stud,
Miles
Miles
Garrett.
Garrett.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their other one is now playing on Cleveland. That was their other one in 9 years. The
Right. Yeah.
point is, there's a lot more value in second round draft picks. I mean, because you look at Romeo Odunze, he's another first round draft pick. What has he shown the Bears? I mean,
Yeah.
you're going
He's
to count on him right
Yeah,
now. So
he's got to take a huge step forward for me. Not, I know we're getting on Bears talk, but he's going to be a huge year, especially with like Luther Burden. I saw he was dealing with something. So if that's the case, like I think Luther Burden emerges as the wide receiver one this season for the Bears because from what we've seen with Odunze, especially in the playoff game, the drops, he just doesn't seem reliable.
if he
I,
stays
I
healthy,
yeah, and he's also got to stay healthy because he's
I
been
mean,
banged up, especially last year.
and the other big one is Kyler Gordon.
Hmm.
The takes, they always keep playing the takes of Ben Johnson. After his press conference at breakfast, and when they bring up Kyler Gordon. I mean, it is priceless listening to Ben Johnson. I got to tell you, he's great. I
Hmm.
like that when they're talking about Kyler, I go, so what's he been doing? And he just right away just rolls it out. He's been see, I can't. I'm not as smart as Ben Johnson at that point, but they were trying to catch Ben in an off situation, like
Yeah,
because they know that much that they can sense that it's a talk. Because Ben Johnson just despises Kyler Gordon, and the reason he's only on the team because he's a $9 million hit this season,
yeah. I
cap
mean,
space.
they made him the
So
highest paid slot corner in history or something, nickel corner, whatever they
yeah,
want to call it.
so it would kill the Bears slot. They have no money now, technically, how that all works, and it would kill them. So they have to keep him on the roster because some talks of this big says that don't look for Kyler to be on the team coming out of your 53, and everyone else coming. No, no, no. There's too much money right there.
Yeah, they're not. They're not.
You really, but then again, he says, yeah, but you listen to the way Ben Johnson talks, he just may get to point like, I don't want to see this guy in my locker room. I don't want to see him at Ellis Hall. He's just getting to that point. They're questioning it. That's the same guy they're questioning. He's like a Marte of baseball. That's what he is.
Uh,
Is he really hurt? And if he is really hurt, is he really doing the proper rehab? That's what it was. They're like,
that's
so what
interesting.
has he
Okay.
been? Yeah, he goes, so what has he been doing? Rehabbing. And it was just so how he just rolled off his tongue. And that's the thing they question. Does he really want to play? Is he really hurt? And because the rehab doesn't quite show. You've had all this off season to get in shape. Supposedly you showed up there, every day in this off season all winter, and you're not healthy.
Yeah,
There is something there. Something's wrong.
something to note
But
there.
when
Yeah,
but when he is on a team, they are pretty damn good.
that's for sure. They definitely do need him in
So
the secondary. But I think that's enough Bears talk.
yeah,
And
not
that's going
fair
to wrap up
stuff.
this episode, guys. So appreciate you tuning in. If you're not subscribed yet, please do support the channel, like the video, share it with some fellow Cubs fans. Appreciate everything, and we will see you next week.
All right.